air charter contract and the decision that changed everything for us. This wasn't just a leap of faith. It was a calculated risk backed by data and guided by intuition. There's moments in business when logic and data are just not enough. And there are moments when intuition alone is dangerous. The art of good leadership is knowing when both are aligned. We had one of those moments, and it was early in our entrepreneurial journey, and it clearly defined everything that followed for our business. At the time, we were operating what would later become Hawaiian Vacations. We offered Hawaii vacation packages that included condos, hotels, rental cars, and the air from Alaska to Hawaii. The scheduled air carriers that we had been buying seats from had just pulled out of the Alaska to Hawaii market. They decided they were no longer going to fly directly between Anchorage and Honolulu. Overnight, the landscape of our business changed. Anyone in Alaska who wanted to go to Hawaii now had to connect through Seattle, San Francisco, or Los Angeles. And that trip was longer, more expensive, and more complicated. So we were left staring at a hard question. Do we shut the doors? Without the direct flights, our business model was compromised. We had no product to sell. We were rapidly facing great financial pressure. We had payroll, but no cash flow. We were forced to make payroll by taking advances on our personal credit cards. The obvious decision was, do we stay in business or do we close the doors? So first, we looked for other products to sell. We put together tour packages from Anchorage to Dawson City in the Yukon. And we sold some of those, but not enough. We were really on the edge of a financial cliff, and we needed to make a decision. When the carriers pulled out, we saw two possible stories. Story one, the market's gone. Close up shop. Story two, the need is still there, but the entire structure has changed. Well, we chose the second option. We knew that the people of Alaska still wanted to go to Hawaii. In fact, in many ways, they needed it. Winters in Anchorage and Fairbanks are long and cold and dark. Families look forward to that mental health break and that chance to escape to the warmth and sunshine and the respite from Alaska winters. We didn't see this just as a business opportunity. We saw it like it was almost a public service. But our belief and commitment were not enough. We needed to find a way to get our customers from Alaska to Hawaii in a fast and economical fashion. Shortly after we decided to keep going, to find a way, my husband learned of a plane that would be flying summer charters between Anchorage and Japan. This plane would not be fully utilized in between the charter flights. So my husband approached the airline and proposed something bold. Why not let us sell the seats on this plane from Anchorage to Honolulu? The airline could make money and we could keep our business alive. We thought it was a win-win proposition. The plane was a DC-8 with 200 and some seats. And here was the risk. We would have to charter the entire plane and pay a flat amount regardless of the number of seats we sold. Whether we sold one seat or all of them, we would pay the same amount. There was a break-even number. Below it, we lost money. And above it, we made a profit. It was clean, it was simple, but it was terrifying. We reviewed our previous summer sales. Everyone around us was saying, "You're crazy. Nobody in Alaska goes to Hawaii in the summer. That's when Alaska is beautiful." And that sounded logical, but our numbers told a different story. We analyzed those previous summers and discovered that we had consistently sold enough seats to fill that charter. And it wasn't by accident, not by hype, but by demand. The data was clear. So the question shifted from, is there demand, to, are we willing to take the risk? And that distinction matters. Risk is not reckless when it's informed. So looking back, that first summer charter was not really reckless. It was calculated. We had verified the demand using our real sales history. We had identified a clear market gap. We negotiated with the airline for aircraft that was available. We understood our break-even threshold. We had an inventory of accommodations already, and we had already structured full vacation packages. We weren't just selling seats. We were selling a dream vacation too. And by this time, we built relationships with condominium owners, large property managers, and hotels, and we had been packaging vacations that included the Trans-Pacific Air, the inter-island flights, rental cars, condo and hotel accommodations, and optional activities like luau's or cultural experiences. And we made it easy for our customers. Families didn't have to piece together the flights and the cars and the lodging. They just called us. We handled everything. And that integration was our leverage. So when you pay a flat charter rate, you do not have the luxury of casual marketing. My husband was always a good salesman, but that summer he became extraordinary. We marketed relentlessly. We communicated the value clearly. We emphasized convenience. We leaned into the emotional benefit, the escape, the family time, the opportunity for true R&R. We weren't just selling a ticket. We were selling paradise, and it worked. And here's what made that decision powerful. The data said yes, and so did our inner compass. There's something that we have learned over decades of entrepreneurship. When data and intuition align, you better pay attention. And if the spreadsheets had said no, we wouldn't have moved forward. And if our instincts had felt uneasy, we would have paused. But both were pointing in the same direction. The need existed. Our numbers supported it. The opportunity was real. The structure was viable. But still, the fear was present. But, fear is not always a stop sign. Sometimes it's simply a sign that the stakes are meaningful. That first charter was not a one-time shot. It was for a whole summer of charter flights, and it worked. So then it became our new business model. From then on, we continued to find ways to charter more and more large passenger aircraft to fly our passengers between Alaska and Hawaii. We even ran some charters to Japan ourselves. What seemed to everyone else as a crazy high-pressure risk became the cornerstone of our business. From the very beginning of our little bootstrap business that was started by my husband to the time we sold the business to Alaska Airlines, Hawaiian Vacations operated successfully for 25 years. The business grew to carry over 35,000 passengers a year between Alaska and Hawaii, and we were generating mid-8 digits in annual revenue. That's 25 years of growth, of risk, and intentional development of the structure of the business. Eventually, that structure and growth positioned us for a successful exit with the sale to Alaska Airlines in 2008. But none of that would have happened without that first decision, the decision to take that first huge risk. So how do you know when to move? Well, here's the framework that we use now that was shaped by that experience. Number one, you check your data. You don't ignore the numbers. You look at your historical performance. You analyze trends. You understand your break-even points. And you remove emotion long enough to assess the reality. Two, you define the downside clearly. What is the worst case scenario? And could we survive it? And are we willing to carry it? Three, identify the gap. Are we solving a real need? Or are we just chasing an ego-driven opportunity? Four, align the incentives. Is the structure fair? Are the responsibilities clear? Is the reward proportional to the risk. And last, 5, listen to your inner compass. After all the logic and structure are assessed, what does your instinct say? Is there clarity or is there hesitation? And when both logic and your instinct align, that is often the moment to move. So sometimes you just need to redefine the risk. We often think of risk as something to avoid, but in reality, sometimes not taking strategic risks can be more dangerous. So if we had just closed the doors that year, Hawaiian Vacations would have ended. If we had waited for perfect conditions, that opportunity would have passed. Risk is not the opposite of prudence. Recklessness is. Informed courage is different. That first summer charter taught us something we have applied repeatedly throughout our entrepreneurial journey. Clarity leads to power. When we know what we want, when we understand the numbers, and when we see the need, when we define the structure, then courage becomes possible. Risk becomes strategic, and growth becomes intentional. Sometimes the biggest breakthroughs come not from playing it safe, but from trusting both the spreadsheet and your inner compass. Thank you all for your time and attention today, and I hope you gain some value from our story. And if you're ready to learn more about how to run your business without being owned by it, please check out my new entrepreneurial mastermind, BOSS, Business Owner Success Strategies. I created it to teach business owners how to be the owner and not the operator of their business. We'll have group calls twice a month. We'll have community discussions. There's an online course with 8 modules that goes through all 6 of the principles that we used to build our successful business. And we'll provide you feedback on your worksheets, guidance on your business owner issues, and we'll have special guests, experts in many fields. We also have a resource library with lots of wonderful information and experts that you can call on. So if you'd like to learn more or have a chat with me about what your business needs right now, please use this URL, www.ralwest.com/let's talk, and book a time for a free call with me. I'd like to get to know you. Thank you all very much for being with me today.